All right, everybody, we're going to be talking about my meet and greet with Yngwie Malmsteen. So this was a fantastic experience. I'm absolutely glad that I took the time and the money to make it happen. Because at the end of the day, Yngwie is one of my favorite guitarists that are out there, and I have quite a few of his guitars. Because I like the guitars as well as his music, his playing, etc., etc. So how did it go down? So I paid the money, and then it said, hey, we'll send you an email when it's time, right? Or when it's ready. And I never received an email. So I was like, what's going to happen? So I didn't really know. And then I showed up at the venue. I started asking the staff, and they're the ones that gave me the rundown on what was going on. So that was pretty cool, right? The staff was very awesome and facilitated that and everything. So what happened? So there was only one other guy there with me. So it was kind of cool that it was just us two, so we got to probably maybe have a little bit more of a personal visit than, say if there was a group of 10 people, right? So I believe the guy's name was Kevin. Super nice guy. He's seen Yngwie a few times. He had a couple of records there for him to sign. He went ahead and talked to him first, and then Yngwie was like, hey, I've got to get over to this guy, right? And so I kind of showed him, I pulled out the first guitar, which was strategically my 2014. And this one is my absolute favorite of the Yngwie Malmsteen Strats. Why, you ask, because I'm sure people are probably wondering. I just think overall it's probably the best quality of them all, and it has the deepest scallops, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I really like it. It's got the big frets, big deep scallops, and it has the YJM pickups from Duncan, and those have a bit more output than the DiMarzios. And funny enough, well, actually, I'll talk about the DiMarzios here in a second. So I pulled this one out and I said, Yngwie, you've probably seen quite a few of these. And then he's like, yeah, I've got them on tour with me right over there. And then that was when I asked him about, well, I see you use the custom shops recently too. What do you think about the maple cap versus the standard neck? And he said, they're both fantastic. I really don't have a preference. So I was like, okay, cool. I mean, fair enough answer, because same thing for me. I have one that has a maple cap, and I don't find it to sound or play dramatically different than the regular ones that don't have a maple cap board, right? So that was this one. I pulled this one out. We had that little conversation, and I said, but when was the last time you seen one of these? And I pulled this one out, and I said, I brought two to have you sign because more is more, right? And he said, absolutely, more is more. How could less be more, right? So that was the start of a good conversation. And then Yngwie says, hey, are you that guy with all the Yngwie guitars on the internet? And I said, absolutely. He's like, I've seen your collection, right? So then we were talking about this one, and the guy that was there with me, I'm pretty sure his name was Kevin, he was like, oh, is that one from Japan? And Yngwie was like, no, that's not from Japan. And I was like, it is from Japan. Flip it over. So I flipped it over, and then I see made in Japan, and then it's got he's like, oh, Japan Custom Shop, right? So he probably doesn't see these very often. So thank you, David Ovieta. He's the one that recommended me bring this out to see Yngwie, or show Yngwie rather. And I think it was a good choice because it's just such an obscure model that you don't see very often. I've probably seen maybe 4 or 5 of these in the past 10 years that went up for sale, and there was probably more, but I pay pretty close attention, right? So then after that, we had a little bit more conversation. I put some notes here so that I can make sure to kind of hit the points of the conversation. So we had that. Oh, and then I also brought some pictures out because it's hard to explain how many guitars you have, just kind of like Yngwie. And so I pulled out pictures. I'm like, here's some pictures of my collection. Oh, sorry about that reflection on there. And he said, wow. He was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then he called his bassist over. He's like, hey, you got to come see this, And then I actually gave him one of these that was signed by me, and I put all my info on here, my YouTube channel and stuff. So hopefully he signs up and at least watches some of the content that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. I'd really love to do a collaboration with Yngwie on the history of the Yngwie Malmsteen Strats, because there's been all those different variants, all the Japan models, the American models, the export models from Japan, and all that kind of stuff. And I'd love to bring that in like a mini series or something like that with a bit of a higher production value. And why do I think I'm the right guy to do it? Because I have all the guitars, so we wouldn't even have to like call anybody up and have them bring them in. I've got them all. We can go right through the whole series, except for a few, right? So I think I did a pretty solid job doing that. And let's see, what else do I have on my notes here? So he said he remembered seeing me and my collection online at some point. So I know I've tagged the official Yngwie Malmsteen Facebook group with pictures of my guitars and stuff like that. So maybe that's how he's seen it. But very cool that somebody showed it to him. You know, I would like to say I've probably had just a little bit of an influence of the uptick in the interest of the Yngwie Malmsteen Strats, right? Let's see, what else we got? Oh yeah, so then when I pulled out the 62, he noticed, you know, as a lot of these do, right here, what does that say? Well, I don't know if you can read it, but it's DiMarzio, right? So that's when we started talking about the DiMarzios, and he said essentially that he never really liked the HS3, even though, you know, a lot of us, including myself, really liked the tones that he was achieving with the HS3, HS4 pickups and stuff like that. I think he talked a little bit about the FS1 and stuff like that, and he said he didn't really like any of them, and he just kind of dealt with it because he went through several pickups with DiMarzio, and he just kind of dealt with it for like 20 years. But then Duncan, now he uses the Duncans, and he said 49 different versions were sent to him before he said this is the one, and he says that those are the ones that have been the same since they nailed it. Since they nailed it, it's the same. He loves them now. Let's see. What else do we got? Oh yeah, since my name is Brandon, we kind of had a little bit of conversation around let's go Brandon, etc. I won't get too political. We'll just leave it at that, but I thought it was pretty funny. From the show, I also noticed that at least from when you look at the amps, there was 9 of them that had the LEDs on. That doesn't necessarily mean they were all used. They could be used as backups. They could be used to switch for different settings, for different songs, etc., etc. I didn't have enough time to ask Yngwie about that. I apologize. But I did ask him about the Fender pedal, and if he really uses it turned all the way up. And you'll see I did another video about the Fender and versus the DoD turned all the way up. And he said yes, he just uses the guitar volume to kind of get what he needs out of it. Let's see. And what else? That's pretty much about it from my visit with Yngwie, but man, it was freaking cool. If you have a chance, if you can afford it, or even if you can't, get your credit card out, slide that thing, and meet that man. He is awesome. I really enjoyed the meet and greet, and I know there's a ton of stories out there of kind of vice versa, different opinions. People had different experiences. I know some people that have met him and, you know, said that he was kind of an ass. So maybe I caught him in a good mood. Maybe it was just the fact that I brought some really cool guitars, because as soon as he saw those guitars and he kind of, you know, had a general idea of who I was, it was just like, boom, he turned into a chatty Cathy, and I probably forgot some of the conversation we had. I really wish I would have had somebody there recording it, because it was a magic moment for me, meeting the maestro. And then, of course, watching him at the show afterwards, it was absolutely fantastic. For him to be in his 60s now and up there freaking playing a million notes, running around all over the place, still kicking his damn picks right out into the crowd and doing all that stuff is absolutely amazing. Because I'm probably roughly 20 years younger, and I probably couldn't do that at this point. You know what I mean? And, of course, his playing was phenomenal. He may have made a few mistakes, but who gives a shit, man? He's up there kicking ass and absolutely loving every minute. You cannot do what he does if you don't absolutely love it and have a passion for it. So thank you, Yngwie, if you watch this. I really enjoyed meeting you, my friend, and I hope we can have some more chats in the future. Thank you to all the fans watching the Yngwie videos. I know it's been a while, but I'm planning on ramping that content back up. So if you have some ideas, share them down in the comments, guys. I'm wide open. You know, I'm thinking about picking up maybe some more Yngwie stuff, but I'm not going to tell you about it because I don't want people to go out there and buy it all up before I have a chance, because there's some things, man, I've been looking for years. And that was one of the things I actually talked to Yngwie about was I was really trying to get one of those Play Loud custom shops, man. And even he was just like, yeah, the prices, I've seen the prices skyrocket on those. So hopefully I'll still be able to find one at a good price someday, because I'd really love to check it out and just see that craftsmanship and see what the play loud is all about. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you all, and we'll talk later.